feed their children. So it's much easier for drugs to sneak in because of the sense of hopelessness. So you look for that substance as an escape, and that's exactly what happened in the white community, in the poor white community.
Right, the intersecting social determinants of health. Yes, the intersecting
so
social determinants of health, call it, and hope, right. But
so
the mental health money is one thing, but I want to know if you're going for the opioid money.
Now, what do you mean by, am I going for the opioid money?
So you have a product for which you're talking about opioid, and you're exposing the issue of opioid. So there is funding for the opioid crisis and the opioid impact. And there are different funding streams for money to help support the work that you're doing, because this is education. So you have mental health money, and then you have opioid money. These are two different funding streams, federal government funding streams. This is one of the things I like to do best, is kind of attach us to where the money is. And there is a conference next year called the State of Black Health that we're actually doing in Charlotte. So this is why I want to get connected offline, so I can get more information and present this to those that are going to lead that conference. And it's about the state of black health, where we talk about public health issues, where we're talking about opioids and we're talking about mental health. But there is funding in the opioid impact to address various issues. And we need to get you funded, whether you're going to get funding through an institution of higher learning that's doing research, or if you think about funding from there are groups of attorneys across the country who are involved in the class action suits involving the opioid impact. You've heard about all of that money that they're suing for, and the Purdue family.
Right.
So that's billions of dollars going to communities that you need to try to go for.
Well,
one other quick question.
Yeah, that's definitely
Jamal.
a larger conversation as far as the distribution of, say, somebody actually licensing the film and using it for a PSA or something of that nature. Because that's definitely a larger conversation between the group.
Yeah, that's a conversation that definitely should happen. But I did have one question that I was going to ask Sonny, but I also want to hear from Jamal and anybody else is interested. But we have several churches that meet at the HI Heritage Center. One of those churches is a newer church. They only meet once a month and everything. But the pastor, he's part of an interracial couple, him and his wife. But his message yesterday was talking about how we as a people oftentimes are afraid to deal with mental health. That becomes something like a stigma in our community that we don't want to go. We have a hard enough time going to doctors. I'm not going to lie. I'm not a big fan of needles. So I have a hard enough time going to doctors myself. But I know that even when you start talking about people examining your head and examining your head from a European perspective, then that also becomes an issue. So I was just wondering what folks take on that message that he was giving, which he was basically encouraging people to actually go for therapy. And I think I read somewhere there was somebody on one of the PBS shows, a brother, that said that all of us probably need therapy, meaning anybody that's got any sort of African-American or minority roots because of everything we've been through.
Right. So I have some friends that focus on mental and behavioral health. And mental and behavioral health are two separate things, and most of the time people don't know that they're actually two separate things. And one of my friends, Dr. Nadia Richardson, has an organization called No More Martyrs, focuses on women and black health. I am a part of the Black Ladies of Public Health group, and there's a very intentional surge and movement from black professionals to engage populations, minority populations, black and brown and others, to think about mental health and behavioral health in a different lens as when it comes to treatment. We are intentionally connected online, and we're reaching out. We're talking about self-care and the need for self-care in populated in the work, in the space in which we don't seek services, because it's been a stigma. And by design, black people and brown people and those who are marginalized, even when they're not the minority, have been taught that we don't deserve health care. A lot of times we've been talking about access. Well, almost everyone has access to care, but they don't necessarily have access to care that is provided through a cultural lens that is appropriate. So people like me, I've been sick before, and I've had to tell doctors that look like me, I know my health. So we don't have the same experiences and exposure to mental health care and services because, one, we don't ask questions. We don't know what questions to ask, and we don't feel comfortable because, remember I talked about earlier, we are ingrained as a people by design not to be too forceful in the things that black women like me, people say, well, I'm angry, and I agree. I'm saying, yeah, okay. If you want to say that, I'll be angry all day long because I require you to treat me a certain way. We have to get to the point where we require people to treat us in a certain way, and that's hard for our communities because of what we have been conditioned to do, and that is not the cause of problem.
Yeah, no doubt, and that's definitely something we got to do. Dean, I think you said Johnny was trying to get in as well, and I think Sherry might have dropped off, but I just texted her, so hopefully she'll call back because we've been rolling with good conversation. So I don't want folks to think that I'm not going to get to them, but I think I have Johnny Bahama on. So, Johnny, are you there?
Yes, sir. Blues man, it's Johnny Bahama.
How are you doing, Johnny?
Speaking of mental and behavioral health.
Yes, you've always been an interesting character. So tell folks a little bit about yourself. We've been talking to Sunny Slaughter, who's involved in human trafficking and fighting against sexual assault and things of that nature. And, of course, we've had the whole team with the substance animation that will be coming here in November. So share a little bit about what you've got going on.
Well, Blues Man, before I get into any of that, I want to say I've been listening to you these past Monday nights, and it's been giving me flashbacks to all those Blue Mondays we used to have. Do you remember those, Blues Man?
I do remember those, and I appreciate you remembering them.
Oh, man. We used to get together out there at Great White's place, my ex-buddy, but, man, Great White could cook, and we would just have the best time. I mean, we'd be roasting chickens in a wood stove with that oak smoke, purple hull peas out of the garden, and I remember we'd be cooking up some greasy greens with peg leg Sam. You remember that?
I do remember that.
They're good if you fix them right. But anyway, that's what I was asking Dean. I was like, do I fit in on this conversation?
It's an open conversation. Everybody fits in on all the conversations. So just tell folks a little bit about what you've got going on in your world, because we believe it's an open conversation and we share the world and the passions with everybody.
So I can plug my album?
You certainly can.
Oh, man. I got 2 releases out in 2019, Blues Man. I got the LP is called Bahama Simple Things. And you can stream it pretty much anywhere you can stream stuff. You just have to type in all 3 of those words, Bahama, Simple, and Things, because I don't have enough money to, bump that up. Anyway, and the EP is called Bahama One Song, Many Ways. So I got those going, and I'm working on a new album right now. So hopefully I'll have that one out here in a few months, and I'm in a very prolific time right now.
And what style would you, for those that are listening that are not familiar with your music, what style would you consider your music, and have you ever thought about doing music for an animation?
Oh, well, I tell you what, yeah, for those who haven't heard my music, that's just about everybody. But I do new beach, tropical rock, and redneck reggae.
Now, that's a mixture for you.
Yeah, this is my passion. This is my side project. And my original voice has really been pulling me, I don't know, towards the ukulele. It's just, I don't know what it is. It's opened up a lot for me. But, for about the last 25 years, I've been a professional bassist and musician in the Triangle area. And I know I've bumped into you from time to time on the scene. You always seem to be on the scene. But originally, it's funny, I've heard multiple folks in the conversation tonight say they're from New Jersey. I'm originally from a small town called Farmingville, which is part of a bigger town called Long Island, New York. And nobody ever believes me, because my parents moved me down here July 13th, 1986. And I grew up in Rougemont, North Carolina. That's Rougemont is French for Red Mountain, and Bahama is Bahamian for Bahama.
Bahamian for Bahama, huh?
Yes, sir. And I don't know, Johnny Bahama is my stage name. I don't even know if you remember me by my the name that's on my birth certificate.
Yeah, I think most people know you as Johnny Bahama. And Trinity was actually making the same point that you were making earlier, because she just recently moved here and she's already decided that I know everybody and that I network with everybody. Is that correct, Trinity?
That's exactly right. Mark knows everybody that you need to know in life. In a good way, though.
Well, I try to get out there and network with people. I was actually just talking to a friend of mine that's in Detroit right now, Dino Comer, who's a motivational speaker and a stand-up comedian, and he was saying something similar. He was like, and I think he's probably known me for about 25 or 30 years, and he was like, I think he told me that he looked up the word networker in the dictionary and he saw my picture. So, I don't know about that. I don't know about that, Sonny, because I've looked up networking and I saw Sree's picture, which is the guy that does the Facebook Live. So maybe our pictures are together.
Sree is absolutely amazing in how he can connect people. And, it was Neil that found me through the United Way, my relationship through the United Way. But Sree has been great about, you can network, but there's something about connecting the right people together. Like this call tonight with the animation and the opioids, this is great follow-through, and I've already been in my head thinking about how to make this a great connection.
Definitely. And Johnny, in your music, have you touched on any of the social issues? Because I know that a lot of our blues musicians talk on social issues, but so do a lot of our rockers around the community, because we have a tremendous rock community around here with things like the Midtown Dickens and a lot of the other groups that are around here, and a lot of them do touch on social issues. Or do you just try to leave that alone because you figure enough people are talking about it? Or are there social issues that you've been passionate about, Johnny, and that you also are singing or doing music about?
Man, I've been really into just the positive vibrations, and really kind of poring over the lyrics, making sure everything is uplifting. But, I have a couple of ranty songs on the album. But I actually did one tune called Seeds, and it kind of grew into something else. And it was kind of about truthfulness and us all kind of being truthful with each other and about I don't know, I was trying to make it like a holistic kind of thing, but then I got it kind of grew into something else because I got my buddy Michael Hanna in on the tune, and we kind of remixed it and went hip hop on it. So if you listen to my album, Bahama Simple Things, check out those tracks. And like I said, you can stream it anywhere. You can listen to it on YouTube, Spotify, all that. But, yeah, Seeds, and then when he comes in, that's called The Reprise. But that's and actually I got another one called Devils in the Details. It's maybe a little on the darker side of kind of issues, not any one particular issue, but kind of like I said, maybe trying to take a holistic approach to it.
Definitely.
Trying to get to some of the roots.
Yeah, no, that's one of the things I know that even the team, Jamal and them, are trying to do is get to the roots of what's going on in substance abuse and things of that nature. I don't want any of y'all to get off the call. I do need to have Dean drop at least one or two calls, and I'm going to make a quick call. So I'm going to jump off the line real quick before we get off because we got about 15 minutes, because I do want to try to at least see if I can get Sherry back on the line, who does a lot of networking in the community, and she had called in. So I'm going to try to reach out to her to see if I can get her to call back in so we can get her in the last 10 minutes or so. But Dean, will you drop me a couple of cuts until I come back in?